Hello, guys. Good afternoon. Welcome to our class. Today is Monday. Yay, beginning of the week. How nice, isn't it? So, today is Monday, August 29th, 2022. And this is our 3:30 class, Mondays and Wednesdays. In this class, we are doing Book 3, Wide Angle 3, Unit 7. How nice, guys. Super welcome. So, today, August 29th, we are doing Unit 7.3, pages 82 and 83. We are going to finish, right, Unit 7.3. Remember, we were talking about Loanwords, so that's right. Then today we are going to talk a little bit more about Loanwords and the adverbs, the intensifiers. All right. Hello, girls. Good morning. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Manu. Hello, dear. How was your
Hi,
weekend?
teacher. Good morning.
Hi. How was your weekend, girls? Was it good? Yeah? Great. So here we have our topics for this week. This week we are doing Unit 7.3 and 7.4. We are almost finishing Unit 7. How nice, isn't it? Great. So let's take a look at the topics we learned last week and the homework to see if you have any questions, okay? So let's go down here. Last week, August 22nd and 24th, we talked about changes ahead. This lesson is all about the future. Okay, so that's what we talked about in Unit 7.2. The future, and then we saw future predictions. How can we make future predictions in English, right? And the homework was online practice, Unit 7.2. Let me try to make it a little bit bigger so you can see better. Yes. Now, Unit 7.2 and 7.3, we did on Wednesday, pages 81 and 82 until exercise number 4. We talked about punctuation and the future of language. We saw loan words, words that we borrow from other languages. Okay? The homework was online practice, Unit 7.2, and the worksheets. Okay, we posted here. So, do you have any questions about the worksheets or the online practice? No? Okay, good. So let's go to our topics for today. Okay, let's move back here to our lesson for this week. All right, here we are, August 29th. So we are going to finish Unit 7.3 that we started on Wednesday. If you have your books, open your books to page 82. Let's go there. Yes, here we are. So, last class, we talked about loan words, right? We saw what loan word is, and we discussed about some words that were borrowed into English, right? Then exercise number 4 comes with the question, do you use any English loan words in your language? we discussed last week, right? There are lots of words from English that we use in Portuguese, like all the information technology words like download, delete, right? So upload, login, log out, right? And so many other words, okay? Now, let's take a look at some words that we use a lot, and they are loan words in English, okay? So let me see if I can zoom in here so you can, all right, here we are. Match the words with their definitions. Here we have the words accent, pronunciation, translation, adopt, global, billion, and generation. So here we have from number 1 to number 7, and we should find the definition to these words. So the first one, all the people who were born around the same time, we call them very good generation. Yes. So we have this my generation, your generation. Okay. All right. Now, the second one, way of speaking, which shows where you are from. Like people say that in Rio, we have a characteristic of speaking Portuguese, right? On the other hand, the people in São Paulo and also in the south of Brazil, they have a very peculiar characteristic too. So what do we call that? Very good. We call that accent. Very good. Now, 1,000 million, the number is equivalent to, that's easy. Yes, a billion. All right. Okay. Now, the process of changing words in one language to words in another language. What is that? Hi, Kalani. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hey, good to see you, Kalani. How nice. Super welcome. So we are doing, Kalani, unit 7.3, and that is page 82, okay? So let me write it down for you. Let me just write it here. Yes, I guess that's the right page. Okay, so let's do activity. We are doing activity 5, vocabulary. We are talking about loan words, okay? And we are checking some words that we borrowed from other languages to English, okay? So here we have the words in the box, okay? And here we have the definition. So number 1, all the people who were born around the same time, we call it a generation, okay? Number 2, way of speaking. Oh, that's okay, Kawane, no problem. Don't worry, that's all right, okay? Don't worry. So, way of speaking which shows where you are from, we call that accent. Okay, so here in Rio, we have a very strong accent. Okay, 1,000 million is equivalent to a billion. Number 4, the process of changing words in one language to words in another language. What is that? We were discussing that one before. So that is translation. Okay, let's write it down. Okay. Now, number 4, covering the whole world. It's an adjective. Exactly, global. Okay. Very good. Number 6, the way in which something is pronounced. So how to pronounce a word. We call that pronunciation. Okay? All right. Number 7, to start using a particular thing or method. Yes, exactly. To adopt. Very good. So now let's check the answers. Everything correct. Generation, a noun, all right? Accent, also a noun. Billion is a number. Translation is a noun. Global is an adjective. Pronunciation is a noun. And adopt is a verb. Okay, great. Now, complete the sentences using words from exercise number 5. Change the form where necessary. Okay, so let's do the first one together. Number 1, it's not your that is important when speaking another language. It's your. If you pronounce the words correctly, people will understand you. So what do you think they're talking about? Yes, exactly. So it's not your accent, okay, that is important. Very good. Here you go. It's your pronunciation. If you pronounce the words clearly, then they will understand you. Okay? Now, people, I will give you 1 minute to complete the other ones. Okay? All right. I hope you did the first part because then you have the words, okay? Because it's difficult to keep coming up and down with the screen all the time. Unless I minimize, if I zoom out, probably, oh, but that's too small. That's way too small. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Okay, guys. So if you want, you can take a picture so you have the words, and then you can use the words here. Okay? So let's put it down a little bit. All right, people, you have 1 minute. All right? 1 minute to do that. It's not so hard. Okay, let me count using that. We use this counter here. Okay, girls, can we correct? Yes? So let's see that. Number 2, schools have a new way of language learning that focuses on speaking and communication skills. Yes, it's the verb, adopted. So here we are using the present perfect, okay? So schools have adopted a new way of language learning, okay? Good. Number 3, English is spoken by more than 1.5 billion people. Yes, the number, okay? Number 4, social media allows us to feel like we're part of a community, global community. Yeah. Number 5, there are many English of novels written by authors such as Tolstoy and Flaubert. Translations. All right. very good, guys. Number 6, languages change over time. People from different sometimes don't understand each other. Generations. Yes. And it's true, isn't it? Yeah. Language is organic. So let's check the answers. Let's see if everything is okay. Yes, everything is right. Okay, people, any questions? No? So this was the vocabulary from this lesson that we missed last week, okay? Here we have a tip on listening, and they want to focus on listening for main ideas. So example, it isn't always necessary to understand all the information you hear. Knowing how to listen for the main ideas can help your listening comprehension. To listen for main ideas, focus on the general topics and don't worry about the details. All right. So when you listen the first time, you should focus on the general idea. All right. Don't worry about details. So we're going to listen to the first part of a student's presentation. Choose the two main ideas. All right. Take a look at the ideas first before you listen. Okay? So I will play twice, but try not to focus on details. Okay? Focus on general ideas. So let's do it.
Did you know that there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers in the world today? That's a pretty large number. But what is the future of the world's first global language? Will English become the only language we speak, or will it lose its place to another language, such as Chinese? Both those predictions are really worrying. Well, first, let me say there is no one English. British, American, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand English are all a little different. There are not just differences in accent, but grammar and vocabulary too. Also, think of countries like India and South Africa, where there are many local languages, so some people use English as a second language, and all the other countries where people use English. There are now about 60 Englishes in the world.
All right? I will play one more time, okay? So pay attention.
Did you know that there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers in the world today? That's a pretty large number. But what is the future of the world's first global language? Will English become the only language we speak, or will it lose its place to another language, such as Chinese? Both those predictions are really worrying. Well, first, let me say there is no one English. British, American, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand English are all a little different. There are not just differences in accent, but grammar and vocabulary too. Also, think of countries like India and South Africa, where there are many local languages, so some people use English as a second language, and all the other countries where people use English. There are now about 60 Englishes in the world.
All right, people. Great. So we have here two main ideas, not only one. Okay, guys? So look, what are the two main ideas? Let's check it out. Well, I believe these are the two main ideas. Let's check. Correct. Okay. So there is more than one kind of English. So this is something he mentions, right? And yes, lots of people speak English, but that might change. We don't know what the future holds, right? So, all right, people. So letters B and D. Okay. Awesome. Now we finished that part. Let's just zoom out a little bit so we can conclude this part, okay? So look at this picture. What is the boy doing? Yes, very good. He's delivering a speech. Yes, he's speaking somewhere. We don't know if he is at school or at a church, but he is giving a speech. Okay. So, guys, read the summaries, then listen to the second part of the presentation. Which summary best describes the presentation he's giving? So let me clear the answers so we don't really get influenced by what is here. So first, we should read the summaries, okay? Summary in Portuguese is the same as resumo, all right? So first, read the summaries. I'll give you 1 minute to read the summaries. We have A, B, and C. All right, yes. Now, having read the summaries, let's listen to the second part of the presentation, and then we can decide which one best describes the presentation, okay? Don't worry, I will play twice, okay?
So, will English kill other languages? Well, there are 6,000 languages in the world today, and experts say about half will disappear over the next 100 years. So it is possible that over the next few centuries we could end up with only one language. Probably English, but it might be Chinese or even Spanish or Arabic, the fastest growing language today. However, there is another option. I suggest we create a new language that combines the world's most common languages and is much easier to learn. The idea isn't as crazy as you might think. All languages borrow from one another, and many common English words are actually loanwords. For example, umbrella and pizza come from Italian, and coffee and sofa from Arabic. Creating one language from many languages will mean all languages are equally important, and it will avoid the need for translation. What an amazing idea! People from countries all over the world will understand each other, and there will be less chance of political misunderstandings and war. I think world governments should start planning this new language. So, will English kill other languages? Well, there are 6,000 languages in the world today, and experts say about half will disappear over the next 100 years. So it is possible that over the next few centuries we could end up with only one language. Probably English, but it might be Chinese or even Spanish or Arabic, the fastest growing language today. However, there is another option. I suggest we create a new language that combines the world's most common languages and is much easier to learn. The idea isn't as crazy as you might think. All languages borrow from one another, and many common English words are actually loanwords. For example, umbrella and pizza come from Italian, and coffee and sofa from Arabic. Creating one language from many languages will mean all languages are equally important, and it will avoid the need for translation. What an amazing idea! People from countries all over the world will understand each other, and there will be less chance of political misunderstandings and war. I think world governments should start planning this new language.
All right? Yes? Great. So which summary best describes the presentation? So let's check it out. Yes, the first one. So the student talks about how the number of languages in the world will decrease in the future. Then he suggests that creating a new language will help global communication. So he really defends the idea of creating a new language. Okay, I think that's crazy, but all right. Now listen to the whole presentation and answer the questions. So we are doing listening activities today, mostly, right? So when we listen to something, the best idea is to read the options before we listen. This is a technique. So let's take a look at the questions before, okay? Question number 1. How many English speakers are there today? Question number 2. What 3 things can be different from one kind of English to another? Question number 3. How many kinds of English are there in the world? Question 4. Which is the fastest growing language today? And question 5. What 2 Arabic loanwords does the speaker mention? So for this one here, I will show the transcript, okay, guys? Because I know you are online, so the sound might not be as good, okay? So let's listen.
Did you know that there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers in the world today? That's a pretty large number. But what is the future of the world's first global language? Will English become the only language we speak, or will it lose its place to another language, such as Chinese? Both those predictions are really worrying. Well, first, let me say there is no one English. British, American, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand English are all a little different. There are not just differences in accent, but grammar and vocabulary too. Also, think of countries like India and South Africa, where there are many local languages, so some people use English as a second language, and all the other countries where people use English. There are now about 60 Englishes in the world. So, will English kill other languages? Well, there are 6,000 languages in the world today, and experts say about half will disappear over the next 100 years. So it is possible that over the next few centuries we could end up with only one language. Probably English, but it might be Chinese or even Spanish or Arabic, the fastest growing language today. However, there is another option. I suggest we create a new language that combines the world's most common languages and is much easier to learn. The idea isn't as crazy as you might think. All languages borrow from one another, and many common English words are actually loanwords. For example, umbrella and pizza come from Italian, and coffee and sofa from Arabic. Creating one language from many languages will mean all languages are equally important, and it will avoid the need for translation. What an amazing idea! People from countries all over the world will understand each other, and there will be less chance of political misunderstandings and war. I think world governments should start planning this new language.
Okay, now much better, isn't it? Let's check out the answers then. Okay, the first one. How many English speakers are there today? Quite a lot. No idea? Let's see number two. What three things can be different from one kind of English to another? Yes, we have pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. Yeah, some words, they are different. How many kinds of English are there in the world? Yeah, you missed the numbers. Oh, okay. I will play one more time, no problem. Which is the fastest growing language today? Great, Arabic. Now, what two Arabic loan words does the speaker mention? Coffee, yeah, and sofa. All right. So just summing it up, let's write down the answers here, okay? So we know what we are doing. So exercise 1, we don't know the answer. Number 2, what three things can be different? So we noticed grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, and pronunciation, okay? All right. Number 3, what, sorry, how many kinds of English are there? This one we missed as well, right? Okay. Now, which is the fastest growing language? Then we got Arabic. Now, number 5, what two Arabic loan words does the speaker mention? Coffee and sofa. Okay, good. So now we have to focus on question 1 and 3, the numbers, okay? So let's do it.
Did you know that there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers in the world today? That's a pretty large number. But what is the future of the world's first global language? Will English become the only language we speak, or will it lose its place to another language, such as Chinese? Both those predictions are really worrying. Well, first, let me say there is no one English. British, American, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand English are all a little different. There are not just differences in accent, but grammar and vocabulary too. Also, think of countries like India and South Africa, where there are many local languages, so some people use English as a second language, and all the other countries where people use English. There are now about 60 Englishes in the world. So, will English kill other languages? Well, there are 6,000 languages in the world today, and experts say about half will disappear over the next 100 years. So it is possible that over the next few centuries we could end up with only one language. Probably English, but it might be Chinese or even Spanish or Arabic, the fastest growing language today. However, there is another option. I suggest we create a new language that combines the world's most common languages and is much easier to learn. The idea isn't as crazy as you might think. All languages borrow from one another, and many common English words are actually loanwords. For example, umbrella and pizza come from Italian, and coffee and sofa from Arabic. Creating one language from many languages will mean all languages are equally important, and it will avoid the need for translation. What an amazing idea! People from countries all over the world will understand each other, and there will be less chance of political misunderstandings and war. I think world governments should start planning this new language.
Okay, yes, much better now, right? So let's see our answers. First, how many English speakers are there today? Okay, more than 1.5 billion. That's really a lot. Okay, guys, more than 1.5 billion people speak English. Now, question number 3. How many kinds of English are there in the world? That's another number. Okay, 60. Very good. You see, guys, there are 60 different kinds of English in the world, and they all differ. Actually, here, let me fix the answers we gave. Look, they differ in terms of grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. And instead of saying pronunciation, we can say accent. Accent, if you don't know the meaning of the word accent in Portuguese, is sotaque, right? So when we speak English and we are from England, for example, we have a different accent uh, to the ones who are in the USA, for example. Americans, they have a different accent. Okay, so that makes a big difference, and that's why we have 60 different Englishes in the world today. The fastest growing language is Arabic. Yeah, believe it or not. And here we have some Arabic loan words like coffee and sofa, but there are so many others. Okay, so let's check the answers then. Here we go. Good. Okay, more than 1.5 billion, accent, grammar, and vocabulary, about 60, Arabic, coffee, and sofa. All right, great. So having done that, we learned how to listen to something to get the general idea, and then later to listen so that we can get the details, right? Or some details, okay? Two different kinds of approach. Now, people, let's see. What's your angle? What's your opinion? Let's discuss these questions. What are the problems with translation? Have you ever watched those films in English and checked the subtitles in Portuguese to see if the translation is accurate, correct? And have you noticed how different they are sometimes? Yes, once you start learning a new language, you become a little picky in terms of translation and especially subtitles, both for music and movies, because you notice the differences and sometimes you get very drastic mistakes, I would say, right? That's why it's even better to watch movies in English with subtitles in English if you can, right? It's better. So, do you always understand people who speak the same language? I don't. Don't know about you. For example, people who speak Portuguese, right? Do you always understand what they say? I don't, really. Especially if I talk to people from Portugal who also speak Portuguese. But it's different, isn't it? Yes, they speak Portuguese, but their Portuguese is very different from ours. So it's hard to understand what they say. And even if you try, for example, to talk to people from the north of Brazil, sometimes we miss out on something. It's kind of weird. The accent is different. Is a single global language a good idea? What do you think? I really don't know. I think we could keep the ones we already have. They are good enough. Yeah, I don't believe that is a possibility. Having only a single global language, I don't think so. People would definitely try to go back to their original language, right? There are so many reasons for that. Not only patriotism, but also the intimacy they have with their language. Having to adopt a new language, I don't think that's possible. Really. No, no, that doesn't work. All right, people. So if you want, you can share your opinions about these questions here later, right? You can send messages and then we can talk more about it. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the next topic, right? Because we are supposed to cover all this page. And there is a very nice topic here. And it talks about adverbs. So, as you know, people, adverbs, they modify verbs and adjectives, and sometimes another adverb, all right? But here we're going to see uh, a group of adverbs that we use to intensify adjectives, all right? We call them intensifiers. Yes. Here we have some examples like a little, pretty, much, and really. So we can use the adverbs pretty, a little, and really plus an adjective after the verb to be. Okay? Example. All the Englishes are a little different. So here, a little is modifying the adjective different. Both those predictions are really worried. So here, the adverb really is modifying the adjective worried. Here in green, we have the verb to be. Okay, guys, just so you know why there are so many colors. It's because I guess the other teacher decided to highlight the verb to be, to say that we use these intensifiers. We can use actually these intensifiers after the verb to be and before the adjective, okay? Now, we can also use pretty and really before an adjective plus a noun. Example, it's a pretty large number. Okay, so number is a noun. And then we can intensify the adjective that is modifying the noun. So for example, a pretty large number. Okay, we can use a little plus a negative adjective. Okay, so here let's change the color because we are using purple for noun. So let's correct here. Concerned is not a noun, okay? So let me change the color here so we don't get mixed up, okay? All right. So we are using purple for noun and blue for adjective, okay? Different, worrying, okay? Here, let's correct this because for the adjective, we're using the color blue. Okay, girls, so you know that yellow is the intensifier and blue is the adjective, okay? Here we have blue again to mean the adjective. All right, good. So intensifier, pretty, a little, really, after the verb to be and before the adjective, okay? So all the Englishes are a little different, okay? Let me just fix here. I'm so perfectionist. I don't like to have any kind of problem so that you may misunderstand or so let's make all the adjectives light blue, okay? All right, good. So let me just fix here because it's a little messy. All right, good. So here we have all the Englishes are a little different. Both those predictions are really worrying. So here we have two adjectives and two intensifiers after the verb to be. Now, we can also use pretty and really before an adjective plus a noun. It's possible, like a pretty, that's a pretty large number, okay? We can also say, oh, that's a really big building, all right? Now, we can use a little plus a negative adjective after the verb to be. So we are coloring the adjective blue. So let's go get blue here and color. Negative adjective. Okay, so let's see. A little plus negative adjective. Example, I'm a little concerned about the future of language. Concerned, people, in Portuguese is like worried, okay? Preocupado, preocupada. So I'm a little concerned, okay? That is a negative adjective because the idea is negative, right? So anyway, let's color concerned blue, okay? So a little concerned. Another example, We can use adverbs like a little or much plus comparative adjective, which is another kind of adjective, okay? So let's color that blue too, okay? Because it's also adjective. Example, oh, sorry. We often use the word then after a comparative adjective. This is only an observation. Example, this new language will be much easier to learn than English. So we use that to intensify the comparative, okay? So let's color much yellow because that's an intensifier, like a little, okay? Pretty. Now here we are just talking about a little and much. After that, we have the comparative adjective. Okay, so let's highlight that blue. And before that, look what we have. The verb to be, right? Yay, what a coincidence. The verb to be in the future. Okay, so this new language will be much easier to learn than English. Now everything is okay. All right? So don't worry. A little, pretty, much, and really are very simple to use. Okay? We use them before adjectives. Okay? The only exception is we can use pretty and really before adjective plus noun, okay? And when we are using negative adjectives, we can use a little. And a little, again, can be used with much when I'm talking about comparative adjectives, okay? All right? So for more information about it, you can check page 165. Let's do some exercise, the best way to practice, okay? We have some time. Yes, we do. So let's practice a little. Let's see. The first one, visiting the country is a good way to learn a language. Here we have what? Adjective, okay? Let's see. And here, way is a noun. So, purple. Let's check out the intensifier we use when there is an adjective and a noun. Look. Oh, here, look. Adjective and noun. Which one should we use? Pretty and really. Okay? So, here, which one? Really. Okay? So visiting the country is a really good way to learn a language, right? Let's see number 2, and then I will let you do the other ones. Learning a language can be difficult when you are older. Hi, dear.
Hello, sweetheart.
Yes?
I'll ask you something.
Sure.
Do you have any...
Wait a minute. Just a second, girls. Okay? Just a moment. I'll be right back. No problem. Okay, girls, I'm back. Sorry. So let's see. Number 2, learning a language can be difficult when you are older. So here we have only the adjective, okay? So let's check it out. I mean, let me highlight that we only have an adjective here. And we also have, like here, we have the verb to be, okay? So when we have an adjective, what can we use? Remember, much we use with comparative adjective, okay? And a little we use after adjective only after the verb to be. Like, for example, all the Englishes are a little different. So here, which one? Yes, the second. If we had more difficult when you are older, if we had the comparative adjective here, like more difficult, then it would be much more difficult. Okay, but here it's not a comparative adjective, it's a simple adjective. So a little difficult. Okay. All right, girls, you got it? Yeah, good. Now, number 3, it's important to have good dictionary. Here we don't have the verb to be, but we have an adjective. So let's highlight the adjective here. Look. And we have a noun after the adjective. So purple again. So here we have the same situation as number 1. So which one? A little or a really? A really good dictionary. Okay, guys, remember, because we have this, look, adjective plus noun. So a really good dictionary. Look here. Adjective plus noun. We can have pretty or really. Okay? So let's highlight this purple here because it's not so clear. Just a moment. All right? So we can use those intensifiers. Now, number 4, studying vocabulary is much more useful. Now it's easy than grammar. Okay, so here we are using much as intensifier because we are talking about a comparative adjective, more useful. Okay, so let's highlight that. And because of that, we use much. Okay, so here, look, comparative adjective, we can say a little or much. In this case, we have no other option. It's already there. We just have to decide which word we should use as a comparative sentence. And the best word is then, okay, always. Number 5, you should make progress quickly if you study hard. So what do we have here? We have only the adjective. Okay? So let's highlight the adjective. So when we have only the adjective, what should we use? We could use pretty, a little, and really. Okay, so here we have really and a really. The first one, really hard. Okay, we only use a really when there is a noun after the adjective, like a really good dictionary. Okay, guys. All right. So here, only the adjective, so just really. Number 6, online learning is becoming popular these days. So here we have just the adjective. So let's check it out. Okay. So when we have just the adjective, we can use really. Let's see there. Really, a little, or pretty. So much, no. So here, okay? Online learning is becoming pretty popular these days. Now, number 7, it's much interesting to study in groups than alone. So here we are using a comparative sentence. So we have the intensifier here, and then we have the adjective, and we have the word then. So it's clear we have to use more, okay? So it's much more interesting. Here we have the adjective, interesting, but it's a comparative adjective, so more interesting. Look at the intensifier, much, okay? So we use much before comparative adjectives, okay? Look, much or a little before comparative adjectives, okay? As we have much here, I cannot say a little because I already have the intensifier here. So they decided to say much. So a little can't be used. I have to use much more. Okay. All right, people. I could use a little more interesting. It's a little more interesting to study in groups than alone. If you want to say a little, but it has to come before the adjective. A little more interesting or much more interesting. Okay? Now, number 8. It's embarrassing to make mistakes when speaking a foreign language. So the adjective is embarrassing. Let's highlight that. Here we have just the adjective. Okay, we have nothing. I mean, we have a sentence after, but here we are intensifying the adjective. Okay, so let's see. When we have only the adjective, we can use pretty, a little, or really. Okay. So here we can say, here it's missing a little. This is little. so doesn't work. So it has to be pretty. Okay? It's pretty embarrassing to make mistakes when speaking a foreign language. All right, people. Okay? So you always have to check the instructions. Okay? Let's see our answers. All right, everything correct. Okay? So the first one, just reviewing, okay, girls? Visiting the country is a little, oh, sorry, is a really good way to learn a language. A really good way. There is a noun. Like number 3, it's important to have a really good dictionary. Okay? Number 2, learning a language can be a little difficult when you're older. Number 4, studying vocabulary is much more useful than, like we have here, number 7, okay? It's much more interesting to study in groups. So we have comparative adjectives, okay? Number 5, you should make progress quickly if you study really hard. Just the adjective. Number 6, online learning is becoming pretty popular these days. Just the adjective. And the last one, it's pretty embarrassing to make mistakes when speaking a foreign language. Just the adjective. All right, people. So it's done. I mean, we are done for today. It's okay. We don't need to go over to 12 or 13 because it's writing, okay? So let's zoom out and then see what we've done today. What did we discuss today? We finished the part of the future of language, okay? We saw some vocabulary related to language learning, okay? We saw words like, for example, here, accent, pronunciation, translation, global, billion, adopt, and generation. We saw the definition of the words, okay? We practiced using them. We did some listening exercises, especially listening for main ideas, okay? Then we saw how to listen with different purposes, main ideas and then details, right? And then to wrap it up, we saw something about intensifiers or adverbs of intensity and how to use them. The best thing to do, guys, is to practice, okay? So let me show you our page on Google Classroom. Let me go back to our page. Sorry, I was showing the other teacher that page. Okay, now I think we are correct. Yeah, sorry. So August 29th, we did here pages 82 and 83. We finished unit 7.3. The future of language. We saw some Loanwords, and as grammar, we saw intensifiers. Please do the homework. It helps a lot. Online practice, unit 7.3, and some worksheets. They are here somewhere. Yeah, they are down here. Of course, guys, there is a video for you to watch about intensifiers. They will help you a lot. And I will post more worksheets here for you to practice, okay? Because here, apparently, we just have some sites and some videos, okay? But I will post the worksheets for you to practice. Focus on the platform, okay, guys? Great. So, girls, let me take a final picture before we go. Yes. Thank you so much for coming. Rebequinha, Manu, Kawane. Hope to see you again on Wednesday. All right? Take care, girls. Bye-bye. Yes, enjoy your Monday and see you Wednesday. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you, Kawane. Bye-bye.